Hello students, welcome to our second module of class 8 history, our part 3, chapter 11, the making of the national movement from 1870s to 1947. In this module, we will discuss about the era of the assertive nationalist movement as well as about the partition of Bengal. So let us begin. A section of the Congress leaders started raising questions about the demands and methods of the moderates. They criticized them for their politics of prayers and called their method as political mendicancy. They talked about self-reliance and self-determination and are known as the assertive nationalists. The assertive nationalists included leaders like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Lala Lajpat Rai. This trio of staunch nationalists came to be known as Lal, Bal, Pal. While the objective of the moderates was to seek administrative, legislative, and economic reforms, the objective of the assertive nationalists was a free, independent India. Tilak declared, "Swaraj is my birthright and I will have it." There was a basic difference in the methods of struggle of these two factions. The moderates carried on their work by means of petitions, appeals, and resolutions, whereas the assertive nationalists believed in Swadeshi, boycott, and popularizing national education. Now this resulted in the split of the Congress. The Calcutta session of the Indian National Congress in 1906 witnessed a sort of compromise between the moderates and the assertive nationalists. Dadabhai Naoroji presided over the session and Swaraj was proclaimed as the goal of India for the first time by any Congress president. However, the moderates were of the view that Swaraj should be attained only through constitutional means. The assertive nationalists, on the other hand, believed that unless they put strong pressure on the government, they could never achieve their objective. This resulted in the split of the Indian National Congress next year at the Surat session. It is known as the Surat split. Now let us talk about the partition of Bengal. Lord Curzon was the Governor General of India from 1899 to 1905. He took several measures to check the growing influence of the assertive nationalists in the Congress. The final act of this mischief was the partition of Bengal. Reasons for the partition of Bengal. The British government regarded the size of Bengal province to be too large to be properly administered by a single provincial government. The argument presented in favor of the partition was that it would improve administration of both the provinces. The new province called Eastern Bengal had an area of about 1,06,000 square miles and a population of around 31 million. Its capital was Dhaka, that is modern day Dhaka. The partition of Bengal became effective from 16 October 1905. Now what was Curzon's evil motives behind the partition of Bengal? To break the growing solidarity of Bengali nationalism, to create a rift between the Hindus and the Muslims in Bengal. In the new province, that is Eastern Bengal, the Muslims were in majority, whereas in West Bengal, which is now a part of India, the Hindus were in majority. The partition of Bengal resulted in the Swadeshi movement. The partition of Bengal infuriated people all over India. The Indian people also gave a befitting reply to the British mischief. There was massive upsurge and people belonging to both the communities started the Swadeshi and boycott movements. In fact, Swadeshi movement and boycott of foreign goods went together. People made a bonfire of British goods at busy intersections. The Swadeshi movement was strongest in Bengal but had its impact everywhere too. Meanwhile, communalism was prevalent towards the close of the 19th century. The British government followed the policy of divide and rule and sowed the seeds of disunity between the Hindus and the Muslims. On 1st of October 1906, a Muslim deputation led by Aga Khan met Viceroy Lord Minto. It demanded separate electorates for the Muslims and their special representation in civil, military, and judicial services. Separate electorates meant that the Muslims could vote for the Muslim candidates and the Hindus for the Hindu candidates. Lord Minto gave an assurance that the political rights and interests of the Muslims would be duly protected. The Muslim leaders felt very happy. Taking advantage of such a situation, the Nawab of Dhaka, Salimullah Khan, proposed the formation of an organization which would exclusively look after the interest of the Muslims. Accordingly, the All India Muslim League was formally founded on 30th of December 1906. The British welcomed the formation of the League. They were successful in their effort to keep the Muslims away from the mainstream of Indian politics. Meanwhile, the Viceroy, Lord Minto, and the Secretary of State for India, John Morley, realized that mere repression would not end the trouble caused by the partition of Bengal. They tried to pacify the Indians by enacting the Indian Councils Act in 1909. The act is popularly known as the Morley-Minto Reforms. The Indian Councils Act increased the size of the imperial and provincial legislature. The Act provided for separate representation of the Muslims in central as well as provincial legislature. This principle was filled with mischief. It struck a fatal blow at the unity of India. From the day of that decision, the country knew no communal peace or harmony. The First World War broke out in 1914. Bal Gangadhar Tilak had already been released from jail in 1914. The assertive nationalists rejoined the Indian National Congress in 1916. Two important developments took place during the World War. That is, first was the launch of the Home Rule movement and second was the Congress League Accord of 1916, also known as the Lucknow Pact. Let us summarize what we have learned today. In Bengal, Maharashtra and Punjab, leaders such as Bipin Chandrapal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Lala Lajpat Rai were popularly known as Lal, Bal and Pal. In 1905, Viceroy CURZON announced the partition of the biggest province of British India, Bengal, which included Bihar and parts of Odisha. The First World War broke out in 1914 and altered the economic and political situation in India. Let us see what you have grasped today. Here are some questions for you. Your question number 1 is, in 1905, Bengal was partitioned by, and your options are A. Warren Hastings, B. William Jones, C. Henry Thomas, or D. Lord Curzon. And the correct answer is D. Lord Curzon. Your second question is, the All India Muslim League was formed in the year, and the options are A. 1906, B. 1907, C. 1908, or D. 1909. And the correct answer is A. 1906. Your third question is, the Congress League Accord of 1916 was also known as dash, and your options are A. League Pact, B. Lucknow Pact, C. Indian Unity Pact, or D. Bombay Pact. And the correct answer is B. Lucknow Pact. It's practice time now, and here is some homework for you. Your question number 1 is, when was the Muslim League formed and what were its demands? Your question number 2 is, when was Bengal partitioned and on what grounds? And your question number 3 is, how was the politics of the radicals within the Congress different from that of the moderates? In our next module, we will discuss about the advent of Mahatma Gandhi. Till then, take care of yourself, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.